All right. At this time, I would like to call the meeting for the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District's Board of Directors for Thursday, December 9th, 2021, our meeting to order. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Director Gould.
Here.
Director Orzali is absent. Director Wood.
Here.
Sheets. Here. Jones.
Here.
White.
Here.
Clark.
Present.
Taylor.
Here.
And Kelly.
Present. All right. Moving on to our pledge to the flag. Director Gould, could you please lead us in our pledge to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, please excuse my not standing. ALS, it would have been a disaster. Anyhow, excellent. Moving on to our Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for Cablecast on Metro Cable 14, replay on Monday, December 13th at 6 p.m. and Wednesday, December 15th at 6 p.m. on Channel 14 webcast at metro14live.saccounty.net. Now we have the public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. And thus far, I've been informed that we have two speakers. Ms. Sandra Osborne, are you present?
Yes.
Would somebody please indicate where she can walk forward and speak?
Okay, so do I point this way or? Does it matter?
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, so my name is Sandra Osborne. I represent a company named Division 515. I'm the owner. Our company's been in business for 26 years serving the metropolitan area. And we bid on RFP 2109, which was two new mechanical rooftop train units that sit on this building. And again, I've been doing this for 26 years, and we put in our bid per procure now. And there is protocol that you have to meet for listing subcontractors. And the low apparent bidder, Air Systems, failed to list a testing and balance subcontractor and a electrical subcontractor. Both of those require, through CSLB, a specific license to perform that work. And both scopes exceed 0.5% of Air Systems bid. So on 12/1, I submitted a formal bid protest outlining our position, which is attached. It's the second attachment, staple. And Mr. Mark Jones, who is a very nice gentleman, very accommodating, went and did some research, and he ended up going to the county permit division asking advice on specifically the electrical scope. Air Systems communicated with Mark Jones saying that their tab price, testing and balance, fell under the 0.5%. We disagree because there's 4 contractors in the area that do tab, and I've attached, or I can provide, but I've given Mark Jones this. We've given him the cost, and all tab costs were over $3,000 to perform the work. So to be under 0.5%, they would have to receive a tab number that's 2,600 or lower, and that's not the case. So we were asking Mark Jones if they could provide the quote that they received and which vendor they were going to use for tap, because they weren't listed on the Metro Fire's designated subcontractor form. Number two, in the construction documents, Turley Mechanical outlined 3 specific areas: controls, tab, and electrical. And the electrical scope was very detailed. From what I understand, Mark Jones, again, went to the county, didn't go to CSLB, who issues licenses, but went to the county, had a supervisor review the scope, and they said, we believe Air Systems could do the work. But our contention is that's not how the law works. CSLB and public contract code requires that you list a subcontractor that you're going to use. You cannot self-perform if it requires a license. And the electrical scope in this work is considered high voltage, and breakers have to be replaced. And in CSLB, it lists out that you have to have a C10 license, and Air Systems does not. So I'm trying to limit this to 5 minutes. So we are just hoping that the district not take Mark Jones' recommendation to approve and award the project to Air Systems, that they read the documentation and just check it over to make sure that they're in compliance with the licenses. And obviously, we would like to be awarded the project. Worst case, the project should be thrown out and rebid again, so that the contractors can properly list the subcontractors, and it's an even fair playing game field. But that's it. Okay.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Osborne. We have a second speaker, Mr. James Mears. Is he present?
It looks like he may not be here. Is there anybody online on the phone?
2 numbers, but I'm not able to identify.
Okay, maybe we'll just unmute and allow them the opportunity to speak.
Mr. Mears, are you available?
So attendees, you have the ability to unmute yourselves if you would like to present anything to the board.
Seeing none, we will move on. All right, moving on to consent items. What is your pleasure with the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we adopt consent.
I'll second.
We've got a motion by Director Gould, and I'm not sure where the second came from.
Director Wood.
All right, excellent. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Director Gould.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Sheets. Aye. Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Taylors.
Aye.
And Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, moving on to our presentation items. We have a couple of life-saving commendations this evening. Chief Mitchell, would you please come forward?
Okay. Yes, thanks, President Kelly. Our first person being recognized tonight actually could not make the meeting. And so I'm going to have Chris Dargan read the narrative, and we will make sure that that person receives their certificate of commendation at a later time. So, Chris.
Thank you.
On July 8, 2021, 9-year-old Ruben Romanov accompanied his father to a construction site for work. While performing work, Ruben's father, Gino, suffered a life-threatening cut to his arm, which severed an artery. Ruben helped his father and got him to the front of the building where Gino collapsed from blood loss. Ruben helped his father apply a makeshift tourniquet to his father's arm made from a belt. Ruben also used his t-shirt to help slow the flow of blood and provide bleeding and shock control. Ruben called 911 and stayed with his father until help arrived. It is the opinion of Engine and Medic 105 that Ruben's actions likely saved his father's life. We would also like to recognize dispatchers Teresa Miller and dispatcher Dan Hess for their actions while taking the call and giving Ruben instructions on how to care for his father. So thank you very much.
Here with the Zoom, but both of those dispatchers are here in the audience tonight. So thank you for. Oh, he is. Chief. Oh, well, come on up.
Let's do this
I'm
again.
so sorry. Come on up. Sorry. Must have snuck in the back door.
Sorry about that.
So thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Ruben.
Obviously, we are incredibly proud of you to do what you did and save a life, not to mention a family member's life. Pretty important, huh? So in about 10 years or so, we'll be sending you an application. See you in the fire academy here very shortly. So congratulations. Very nice job. You don't have to. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. We'll make sure afterwards, just so our PIO's here too, so we'll get you with the folks that get some pictures too. So, thank you, Chris. Yep, go ahead.
Next, we'd like to recognize Lisa, Ramon, and Latrice. Would like to come up, please? On October 25th, 2021, Alexander Twilight Secondary Academy staff members Lisa Geigel, Ramon Trejo, and Latrice Avery noticed a fellow employee who was in obvious medical distress. The employee quickly lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Lisa, Ramon, and Latrice worked as a team to activate the 911 system, obtained and used an AED, and performed chest compressions on their coworker. Metro Fire crews on Engine and Medic 101 responded and transported the employee to the hospital. Medic crews were able to restart the patient's heart before arriving at the emergency department due to the swift actions of Lisa, Ramon, and Latrice in the minutes following the patient's collapse. Their actions are credited to the employee's survival and full recovery. It is the opinion of Lisa Geigel that the workplace CPR training that the members received was not only critical to their ability to help their fellow employee, but also help their ability to work together as a team as they perform this life-saving action. We'd also like to recognize firefighter Nick Wayner and dispatcher Christy Stockman, who were both responded and helped provide CPR instructions on your call.
You guys want to stand up as well? Yeah, we can see it now. So on behalf of Metro Fire and Fire Chief Todd Harmon, Board of Directors, and all of the members in the community, would like to say thank you for springing into action and doing what you did to, again, save a life. It's not every day we get to perform that outside of being in emergency services, and what you did is exemplary and a testament to your training that you received. So very nice job. You got some pains. Yeah, let's get a round of applause. Where you're at, so it's hard for them to see. Yeah, they're right in the camera. Just walk past there so they can see who you are. There you go. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chief Mitchell. And congratulations to both parties that exuded bravery and willingness to help.
So President Kelly, apologies for the interruption, but the second public speaker is here now, Mr. Mears.
I saw that, and we will take a quick break from presentation items and go back to our public announcements, or excuse me, public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Mr. Mears, please come forward.
Just come right to the podium.
Sorry, I'm late.
What can we do for you?
I was here in regards to speaking on the matter of the replacement of the HVAC units upstairs. I understand there was an objection about our bid in doing this. We were the low bidder. Our qualifications, as you guys know, Air Systems, we originally built the building, we serviced the building. I've personally done 2 of the unit replacements on the roof. Actually, the furnaces on the roof, I actually did those projects myself. The project, I don't know if you guys understand or know, is replacing the 230-ton train units, the Intellipax on the roof. We do several of these units a year, these types of projects. The latest one we did on November 17th was we replaced 4 of these types of units on the Roseville Galleria. We did 4 of them in one night. So starting at 5 o'clock in the afternoon till 6 o'clock in the morning, we replaced 5 of them. We took 4 of them off, we put 4 of them back on, and they were up and running with controls and everything else. We did all of the work ourselves. With the controls integration, we had Johnson Controls, who was the controls contractor of choice, because they're the ones who they service the controls, everything on the building, so they were the preferred provider. So the person actually Westfield carried the controls contractor, and that's the reason why they're the ones who did it. We had several more of these units coming up in these projects like this coming up in the near future. Another one is 9838 Old Placerville. It's one of these units. We're going to have that and 2 of the dark furnaces like that. We're going to do that in one weekend. So like I said, we do these units and these types of projects all the time. I myself have over 30 years of experience in the trade. I've been doing project sales and project management for 5 years. And our team who's going to be doing it has over 200 years of experience in doing these types of projects. So we are a full service contractor. We start from the inception of design build, where we take anybody's design concepts, we develop it into a full mechanical engineering, and then we come up with a solution, we design it, we install it, and then we service it from many years ago. So if there's any more references and anything you guys need, I'm more than willing to take questions or anything else you need.
Well, thank you very much for appearing and putting your or representing your firm. I imagine you have probably interacted with a few people from our staff, so I appreciate that, and good luck on the outcome of the bid.
Thank you. I put a lot of time and effort into it just to make sure that everything was the way that it should be. I put my best foot forward. And if that best foot forward didn't win the bid, then so be it, and let the next person win it. But we believe that we can provide a great product at a fair price, and that's what we do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll go back to our presentation items. And item 3, Chief Mitchell, 5 years of service to Director Sheets. Congratulations, Director Sheets.
I have to get my steps in. You got to get yours in too. So, Director Sheets, on behalf of Metro Fire, we would like to congratulate you on your 5 years of service. I'm not sure if this is made out of titanium. I did not see a diamond in there, as Chief Harms had mentioned before, but there you go. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Congratulations once again, Director Sheets. Thank you for the service that you have provided to Metro Fire over the last 5 years. Very nice. All right. Moving on to item number 4, Chief Bardsdale. We have Del Paso Manor Water District Grand Jury Report. Mr. Lavra, real quickly, I'm a ratepayer, but I own no stock or anything else. Should I recuse myself?
No.
Okay.
My name is Lisa Barcia. I'm the fire marshal with Metro Fire. I'm here tonight to discuss a grand jury report that was made public on November 8th, 2021 regarding the Del Paso Manor Water District. And the title of that report issued is Del Paso Manor Water District Flooded with Public Safety Dangers. The grand jury's report was the result of a complaint that they received in January of 2021. And many of the findings noted within this report are specific to violations of the Brown Act. However, tonight I'm here to discuss the one that's specifically related to the water supply for fire protection. So this is an aerial view of the 1 square mile that encompasses the Del Paso Manor Water District. And also in this view, you'll see that there are 8 well locations within this jurisdiction. The borders are Watt Avenue to the west, Marconi Avenue to the north, Merrill Drive to the south, and Eastern Avenue to the east side. It's my understanding in speaking and working with the general manager at the Del Paso Water District that currently 2 of their 8 wells noted on here are in service and working on a daily basis. 3 of the remaining wells are available for backup, for standby in case of a large scale event. And there are actually 2 water district interties with the Sac Suburban Water District that are available that will take about an hour to make operational. Within this jurisdiction, there's approximately 1,900 ratepayers. The majority of those are residential homes that were constructed in the 1940s and 50s and average in size from 11,000 to 2,200 square feet, or 1,100, excuse me. Only 6% of the ratepayers within this area are attributed to commercial businesses or use. Those are various types of construction from wood frame to non-combustible type 2 buildings and range from approximately 2,000 square feet in size to 145,000 square feet in size. As I mentioned, 2 of the 8 wells are online, and then others are available for standby and large scale events. This slide depicts one of the findings within the report that are of specific concern to our jurisdiction. And it's that the Del Paso Manor Water District Board failed in their primary mission. And the bottom line of it is to maintain reliable water supply for water consumption and fire protection purposes. The California Fire Code requires fire flow based off of building construction and size in the event of emergency. One of it is for firefighting purposes on ground. The other requirement is to provide adequate water and flow and pressure for fire sprinkler systems within those buildings. So the potential impacts to the districts and our constituents. Inadequate water supply for large scale events. In working with the water district, preliminary information shows that all of the residential areas with the smaller homes, they require 1,000 gallons a minute for an hour supply. They would have adequate fire flow for that. If you had multiple residents involved, that may prove to be a challenge. We're also concerned about inadequate water supply to provide adequate water for the fire sprinkler activations in those large scale commercial buildings. There we have three of the facilities within that area that require 4,000 gallons a minute for a period of 4 hours, which is a significant impact and demand on the system there. We're still, again, verifying with the water district to come up with what they are actually can provide to us. But the bottom line is if they're unable to supply fire sprinkler systems or adequate fire flow in the event of emergency, our mitigation measure tip that we would put in place would be a 24-hour fire watch in those buildings until the water district is able to make the appropriate repairs and bring that water flow requirement up. And going through the properties that we have, again, there's about 52 commercial properties, and about half of those are equipped with fire sprinkler systems. When we're talking about fire flow and fire flow requirements, those larger buildings, so the one that's on the 145,000 square foot end, they are the ones that require that 4,000 gallons a minute, for 4 hours. Should the fire sprinkler systems in those buildings be down? Thank you. Should the fire sprinkler systems in those buildings be down, the actual fire flow requirement would be 8,000 gallons a minute for 4 hours. So it's a significant increase in fire flow demand. So the next steps, the general manager with El Paso Water District is very new. He's been there about 4 weeks. So he's trying to play catch up and help mitigate some of the concerns that were brought forward. He's been very responsive, and they are beginning a plan on rehabbing 2 of their wells. They have inspections scheduled for January to see what needs to be completed to those 2 wells to get them up and running, which should add to the water supply. And we're going to continue to go through and verify if we do have adequate flow for the fire sprinkler systems that are existing. We've flowed a couple of the hydrants today, and we just need certification from the water district that they can in fact supply that in any time of the day. We're going to evaluate all of the data once you receive it for insurance and compliance with the fire code. And then should some of the businesses be impacted by the requirement for fire watch, we'll come up with a plan so that we can do some education outreach, update everybody as to the value and importance of why, make sure that our crews have adequate information. So should they need to respond, that they have the resources necessary, and then move forward from there. And then I'll report back or provide a more detailed report once we're done with all that analysis that's required. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Does anybody have any questions of Chief Barsdale?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Director Sailors does.
Yes. Fire Marshal Barsdale, well, are they able to provide you maps of their actual supply lines with the sizes of the pipes underground, and so that they can color code their hydrants?
They do have the water maps. They are in the process of color coding that so that we have that information available to our crews. Like I said, the general manager is very new, so he's trying to get everything up to speed as quickly as possible.
So that our crews can know.
Yes, so that we
By
can
the color of the hydrant, they know what that flow will be. Okay.
One more question. We have health safety fire code to leverage to ensure that the work gets done or this situation gets done.
Correct. And he's been very responsive, and he understands the importance of value. He has about 30 years of experience in water district oversight. So that is the #1 priority. Worst case scenario, depending on the amount of work they have done, the worst case timeframe would be summer of 2022. But they're hoping to at least get over partway there in the next several months.
I think I know the answer, but is there any impact to our budget for what's going on with this district?
There wouldn't be. The financial burden would fall back to whoever it is that's required to provide fire watch.
One last question. Given the fact that this represents only about 1 square mile of our district, I don't know if you know offhand how many separate water districts or water purveyors we deal with in the
18 in the county.
Yeah, and 13 within our jurisdiction. The one good point with the surrounding water districts for this jurisdiction is it's Saxonville Water District, who has water available So should anything occur around the outskirts, which are where the majority of our commercial buildings are, we would be able to utilize water sources from that.
A comment and request in that it was said that it would take about an hour for South Suburban to open their 2 connections to give additional water supply. Can we inform make sure the ACs dispatch folks know about that? So Lord forbid that in the event of some significant event where we need a high water flow, that is automatically dispatched, taken care of, requested, whatever the appropriate protocol is. I think that's really, really important to get that noted.
Absolutely. And they do have a meeting with South Suburban Water District tomorrow evening, where they're going to discuss some way to automate the interties, whether it be through meters and pressure drop, whatever that looks like. That would be the best, quickest solution to their issues.
That'd be great, because that's Metro's concern, obviously, is to make sure that we get a water supply. And this is kind of in a sense, a political decision and a governance issue amongst the water companies. We need to make sure that the fire protection, the water flow is there. So thank you, Chief Barstow.
Thank you, Chief Bardsdale. All right, moving on. That concludes our presentation items. First action item will be election of board officers. Ms. Mahoney.
Thank you, Wendy. So during our December meeting, we had a chance to thank our current executive committee and thank them for their efforts. I know 2020 was an interesting year. I think 2021 has been just as interesting. Tonight we'd like to thank President Kelly, Vice President Sailors, and Secretary Clark for their efforts. And
thank you very much.
welcome. And as you'll note in your board packet, there was a staff report which outlined the different duties for each position. And every December, we select the executive committee for the next calendar year, which is 2022. So this evening, we will look at nominating a president, a vice president, and a secretary for 2022.
Well, it's good enough for Vladimir Putin. I say I go ahead and serve till 2036. No, I would entertain a motion by any of my former directors or any of my fellow directors to allow Cindy Sailors to serve as president, Mr. Clark to serve as vice president, and I think it would be great to have Walt White begin as secretary. I can't make that motion from the chair, but anybody else?
I will move that.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you very much.
Now we do sleep.
Wait, don't we have to accept those?
All right, then we can take them one at a time, I guess.
You can vote them as a slate. If there's 5 votes, then it passes. If there's not 5, then I'll have to figure out another way to do it.
Then let the slate run.
All right. So Director Gould.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Sailors. And Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, then. We will move on to item number 2, ratification of the resolution to extend teleconference of board meetings. As we have done each of the past couple of months, I say that we adopt the resolution that would extend the ability to teleconference without compliance with government code paragraph 3 of subdivision B of section 54953 from December 9, 2021 to January 9, 2022, or until further ratified. Any questions on the motion, or I would accept a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Thank you. He
Second.
needs a friend. Okay. All right, then we have a motion by Director Clark, second by Director Sheets, I believe. And any questions on the motion?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Please go ahead, Director Gould.
The motion terminates January 9th. Is our next board meeting the 13th of January?
That is correct.
Is there a way that we can amend the motion to extend until the next board meeting so that it doesn't expire?
No, under the code, it's good for 30 days from the date from today's date only. So if the next board, then, which means if the next board meeting is to be held by teleconference, it'll have to be voted upon within 30 days of that date.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Means you may have to schedule a special meeting, which you can do by Zoom to decide whether that's what the board wants to do.
All right.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Director Gould.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Sheets. Aye. Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Taylors.
Aye.
And Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So I guess that means that we might have a special called meeting sometime in early January. All right, then. Moving on to item 3, purchase approval for 6 North Star ambulances. Mr. Purcell.
Morning and happy holiday, or evening and happy holidays, everyone. President Kelly, directors, Chief Mitchell, Shea Purcell, your fleet manager. In addition to asking for approval to purchase ambulances this evening, I would like to briefly share with you the path we took that led to a change in our normally recommended ambulance manufacturer for this rotation. I'll be brief. As I'm sure you're all aware, the manufactured goods market has seen significant cost increases and supply chain shortages in 2021, including the vehicle chassis used for ambulance buildups across all manufacturers. This delay has caused excessively long build times for replacement vehicles, forcing us to keep older units on the road well past their normal service life. Obtaining Mercedes chassis this last year has been particularly challenging. For these reasons, we began looking at alternative means to replenish our heavily taxed ambulance fleet. Going through this process, we looked closely at the strengths and weaknesses of our existing fleet makeup and ultimately chose to move back to a Ford-based build for this year's replacement units. Currently, most of our ambulances are on Mercedes chassis, and we've been experiencing some brand-specific mechanical failures related to the entire product line. While all manufacturers have pros and cons, it was clear we needed to diversify our fleet. Additionally, Ford has more than double the local dealers to help us keep our fleet on the road. Next, we looked at nearly every ambulance manufacturer in the country. There's only about 20 of them. Many of them work under the same mother umbrella, where there are 5 different versions of the same company, and not very many build on Mercedes chassis. So we had to narrow the field down a little bit. Ultimately, we decided on Braun Northwest as our preferred vendor to build our Ford-based ambulance. Braun has an excellent reputation for quality and customer service. They had the foresight to order extra chassis before they became unavailable, giving them the ability to deliver vehicles much faster than their other manufacturers. And also they're members of the HGAC Buy Purchasing Cooperative, making them competitively priced. The module buildup on these new units will mirror the current specification, although they'll be 8 inches wider. Everything else will be the same. And they can be remounted with when the chassis wear out. This fits with our plan to increase the service life of our ambulances and reduce costs. So our neighbor Consumers Fire District Department has actually several units built by this manufacturer, one of which has been in service for over 20 years and has been remounted 4 times successfully. So the boxes are very, very strong. The ability to put 6 new ambulances into service sooner than later, replacing vehicles that are already 6 years past their expected useful service life, will also save the costs associated with keeping these on the road. We're spending a lot of money keeping the old rigs roadworthy. Replacement transmission on a Sprinter setup is 20 grand each time one fails. We've done 2 of those lately. This purchase will be made through the HGAC Buy Purchasing Cooperative. Our purchasing division has reviewed the proposal and determined it's consistent with Metro Fire purchasing policies and procedures. The cost for these 6 vehicles will be $1,524,904.18. The funds for this purchase are included in the fiscal year 2021 final budget. However, due to the unprecedented cost increases for apparatus across the board this year, staff will need to come back before you with a budget adjustment request before the final apparatus allocated in this year's budget plan are ordered. In a $7 million overall budget for vehicles this year, we're running about $350,000 light. We're going to try and crank that down. It was up about 700,000 and we were able to pull it down to about 350. We're going to continue to try and diminish that number. In conclusion, staff is recommending that the board approve the purchase of these 6 North Star ambulances from Braun Northwest.
Mr. Chair, I make a
thank you.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we adopt the recommendation.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second by committee. And Mr. Purcell, I would like to thank you for the education of the departure from our typical purchasing for ambulance bases. All right, we've got a motion. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Director Gould,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Sheets,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
and Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right then. You have a good evening too. Thank you. Item 4, Chief Green, we have the RFP 21-08 helicopter maintenance services.
Thank you, President Kelly. Directors, Chief Mitchell, I'm Chris Green, Assistant Chief. I'm the shift commander for B Shift. I have oversight of air operations. I'm here this evening seeking your approval to award RFP 21-08 helicopter maintenance services to Bancorp International. The current contractual service agreement we have today for helicopter maintenance services expires on December 31st this year and does not include any additional options for extension. Over the past year, we evaluated options to provide contracted maintenance personnel to the 4 Bell UH-1 Huey helicopters operated by our Air Operations Division. We issued a request for proposal 21-08 helicopter maintenance services on October 20th, 2021. The maintenance services are to be completed by 2 full-time mechanics, 1 FAA certified airframe and power plant lead maintenance technician, and 1 FAA certified A&P journeyman maintenance technician, each working 40 hours per week. The current contract term shall be in effect for 3 years from the date of the agreement and may be extended up to 2 additional 12-month periods during the initial contract period for a total of 5 years. A public proposal opening was conducted on November 12th, 2021, and 2 proposals were received. An evaluation committee reviewed and scored both proposals and identified DynCorp International as the most responsible and responsive proposer, as reflected with the scores of DynCorp International at 88.67 and Advanced Helicopter Services at 63.59. The anticipated cost over the first 12 months of this contract is $360,500, which has been budgeted in the current fiscal year 2021 budget. These rates are subject to an annual increase of 3%. Staff recommends the board to authorize the fire chief or his designee to execute an agreement with the highest scoring proposer, DynCorp International. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions of fellow board members? Chief or Director White, please.
We've been using DynCorp for quite a while. Been satisfied with the service that we've received, and we continue to be the most responsible bidder on this work segment.
Yes, that's correct.
Any other questions of directors? Director Gould, please.
President, thank you. Chief, did I hear you correctly that we have 4 helicopters that will be in this service contract?
That's correct. The current service contract identifies 2 helicopters, which are first line helicopters that are in service today. That contract is 5 years old, and never included the 2 additional helicopters we acquired several years ago. Although our current maintenance technicians are doing maintenance on those airframes as they would a car you would keep in the garage that's not in service. There's basic servicing. So this includes adding those additional airframes and ships formally into the contract.
Is it your intent or the goal to get all 4 of those to be airworthy?
Yes, the long-term goal remains to have all 4 airworthy. Staff and myself are currently working on Copter 3, the airworthiness right now. And we started that budgetary planning about 1.5 years ago.
Great. Thank you for that clarification. I didn't know that I knew we had several, but I thank you for that clarification.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Mr. Chair, I make a recommendation that we adopt this proposal.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Director Gould and a second by Director Woods. Madam Clerk, seeing no further questions or comments, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Gould,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Sheets,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Taylors,
Aye.
and Kelly.
Aye.
Passes.
All right, next item, number 5, notice of award, RFB 20-09 mechanical rooftop equipment. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, President Kelly. Good evening, directors, Chief Mitchell, Council Lamra. I'm Mark Jones, Logistics and Furniture Manager for the district. I'm here tonight to recommend staff's intent to award RFB 21-09 for the mechanical rooftop equipment replacement. The staff report you have in front of you is in regards to the 2 rooftop HVAC units on the roof of this building. They're 21 years old and have pretty much reached the end of their life cycle. Our facilities division has had ongoing issues with the units and has been having to replace compressors as well as dealing with other maintenance issues. Our downstairs tenants require us to run the system 24/7 because of their hours of operation. The district contracted with Peters Engineering to do an assessment on the needs of the building and to provide specifications and a scope of work to replace the 2 units. Staff issued RFB 21-09 for the replacement project on November 4th, 2021, with bids closing on November 30th, 2021. A mandatory job op was conducted and 10 firms attended the job lot. At bid closing, the district received 4 bids: Air Systems Service and Construction, Division 515, Mesa Energy Systems, and California Environmental Systems. After review of the bid submissions, Air Systems Service and Construction was identified by staff as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder at $529,290. On December 1st, 2021, as you heard earlier, the district received a formal bid protest from Division 515 stating that Air Systems failed to list a subcontractor for the testing, adjusting, and balancing portion of the scope of work, and failed to list a C10 subcontractor to perform the electrical portion of the project. Public Contract Code does require the prime contractor of a project to list all subcontractors that will be performing their portion of the work that exceeds 1/2% of the total price of the bid. Staff immediately contacted Air Systems with both of these concerns. On December 2nd, Air Systems responded to the district's concerns and stated they did not list a sub for the testing and balancing because the quote they received from the vendor did not exceed that 1/2%. Additionally, they indicated they intended to perform the incidental electrical portion of the work with their own staff. They stated that according to the building department, they're allowed to perform this work with their C20 license and have done so on many occasions in the past for the same general scope of work as our project. I followed up this information first by going to requesting in writing a quote from their testing and adjusting balancing vendor and saw that it was under 1/2%. Their quote was under 1/2% of the contract price. I confirmed that their vendor was AABC certified and registered with the DIR, both a requirement for the project. That satisfied the first item of the protest. I also visited the CSLB licensing board to see if I could get some information on what all the C20 contractor can perform. The technician down there directed me to their website. I also visited the Rancho Cordova Building Department. I showed them the electrical portion of the scope of work and verified that Air Systems was able to perform that portion of the work. They indicated that work was incidental to the complete project, and their C20 license as a warm air heating, ventilating, and air conditioning contractor allowed them to perform the electrical portion of the work of the main project. I did some further research on the Contractor State License Board website and found the classification description for the C20 license, and is cited in the Business and Professionals Code, section 7059. That section states that a specialty contractor, which a C20 license is classified as, can do incidental and supplemental work to the craft they are licensed as. I further looked up the definition of incidental and supplemental work in the Business and Professionals Code as it related to section 7059. And it states, and I quote, work in other classifications is incidental and supplemental if that work is essential to accomplish the work in which the contractor is classified. A specialty contractor may use subcontractors to complete the incidental and supplemental work, or they may use his own employees to do so. This backed up what the building department told me. With this information, I conversed with General Counsel Lavra and drafted a letter and sent it to Division 515 stating that there was no merit to the bid protest and that staff would be recommending to the board their intent to award the contract to Air Systems. The funds are allocated in the fiscal year 21-22 budget for this expenditure. So staff recommends the board approve awarding RFP 21-09 mechanical rooftop replacement to Air Systems Service and Construction as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder in the amount of $529,290. And at this time, I'll take any questions or any clarifications that anybody might have.
Are there any questions of Mr. Jones? Well, I would, please.
Probably similar to what you're going to say, President Kelly. And Mr. Jones, thank you very much. It looks like you did not only first, but secondary, tertiary research on these items. And I greatly appreciate that effort and that work. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Jones. Go ahead, Director White.
I also appreciate your diligence to look into the concerns. This is not only staff's recommendations, but under our current procurement procedures. Is there a requirement we go with lowest bid on this as well?
Yes.
Mr. Jones, I sat on the Contractor State License Board for 14 years, and I appreciate you going to them as a resource. That's what they are there for. And then public contracting code, not only does it require you to accept low bid, but they allow you to utilize best contract practices, et cetera, and to judge a bidder on something more than just low bid. Project experience, capabilities, they give you quite a bit of leeway. I'm glad to see that we're selecting a contractor that has all of those things and is still low bid. So well done. I'd accept a motion on this.
I will move it.
Glad to second.
We've got a motion by Director Clark. Second was by Director Sailors.
Jones.
Jones, thank you. Ms. Jones. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Director Gould,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Sheets,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Taylors,
Aye.
and Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
All right, that takes care of the items, the action items that we have to deal with at this time. Now we will move to closed session. Ms. Mahoney, is there anything else we need to do before that?
Perfect.
Okay, see you all in closed session. Mr. Lavra, would you like to report out, or should we take care of the industrial disability retirements first?
I'll report out first, President Kelly.
Okay.
The board met in closed session first on the workers' compensation claim of Kevin Summers and Metro Fire. The board voted unanimously to give authority to its third-party administrator to effectuate a settlement of that workers' compensation claim. Next, the board met with its designated labor negotiator, one of its labor negotiators, with respect to the bargaining groups identified in item number 2. No action was taken. Next, the board met in closed session to consider 4 government code 910 claims for money damages. The first was Marlene Jordan versus Metro Fire District. The board voted unanimously to deny that claim. Next, the board met with respect to the David Engineering Construction Inc. versus Metro Fire claim. The board voted unanimously to deny that claim. Next, the board met with respect to the claim of Ernest Laporte for April 9th, 2021. The board voted unanimously to deny that claim. Next, the board met with respect to item 3D, another claim filed by Mr. Laporte against Metro Fire District for September 10th, 2021. The board voted unanimously to deny that claim. The board also met to consider the industrial disability retirement issues relating to employee John Carr, item 4A. No reportable action was taken, and that matter will be taken up in open session tonight. The board also met with respect to the industrial disability retirement claim of Troy Nagasic. No reportable action was taken. That will also be taken up on tonight's agenda in the open session. Finally, the board met with respect to public employee performance evaluation for the fire chief. No reportable action was taken. Thank you.
All right, let's go back to item 4 pursuant to the California Department Code on the industrial disability retirements. What's your pleasure with 4A, Mr. Carr?
Make a motion that we accept staff's recommendation to proceed with settlement on the industrial retirement.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll?
Director Gould.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Clark. Sailors.
Aye.
And Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, we have item B under the same heading for Mr. Nagosek.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we adopt staff's recommendation.
Thank you, Director Sheets. We have a second by Director White. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Director Gould.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Sailors.
Aye.
And Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'm here also, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, Director Clark.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Excellent work. Okay. Moving on to reports. President's report. Well, since this is my last hurrah, I would just like to say that I appreciate everybody putting their faith in me and allowing me to serve as chairman this year. I hope that anybody else that serves in this body or in this position has the great pleasure of working with the very good people that you are and that I've had the opportunity to work with the last year. All right, that's all for President's report. Fire Chief's report.
Thank you, President Kelly. If you're pleased, you, I'll do that, and then we go right into the operations report as well, since I'm covering both of those. So the first item is we've had a number of retirements effective November 27th. Captain Troy Simonik with 27 years of service. Engineer Jeff Kanzati with 29 years of service. Firefighter Phil Hart with 27 years of service. And firefighter Roger Hart with 27 years of service. That's 110 years of service to the community that retired on November 27th. So congratulate them as they finish up their career and wish them well in their next chapter. Appointments effective January 1st. Ty Bailey will be moving into his new role as the Deputy Chief of Administration. Congratulations. Effective December 1st, we had a promotion. Captain Bryce Beveridge was promoted, so congratulations to him. And then for the meetings, since our last board meeting, we held the remainder of the Chiefs forums where we met with the rest of the membership. And then on the 8th of this month, we had the labor management collaboration meeting yesterday, where we discussed a matter at Station 61 for some fencing issues that we're working with the City of Rancho Cordova on, as well as engineer testing and some staffing items as part of that meeting. It's a very good meeting, a lot of involvement and engagement. And then moving over to the ops report. First, I'll start off with our lateral orientation training that has been going on is finishing up tomorrow. That concludes their 5-week training. We'll be doing the badge pinning for those 19 folks, actually 18 folks tomorrow, and then one more that has a conflict next week tomorrow in this boardroom here, at 5 p.m. It's just for everybody's awareness, it's not a graduation because of the 5-week orientation of the lateral firefighters, so it's a little less formal than what we would see at a normal graduation. So that will be in here tomorrow at 5. I would like to express some thanks to the cadre, the drill cadre that was out there. We gave them a whole weekend off in between finishing the 1 Academy of 21-1 and going right in on that following Monday to 21-2 to do that 5 weeks. They did a phenomenal job. So on the MIH front, we were able to kick off the 1-year pilot project on Monday, November 15th. Very good to get that going. Again, we're focusing their deployment right now on post-discharge high utilizers of 911, as well as assisting our county mental health partners to engage with medical clearances so those patients can be transported to an appropriate treatment facility versus going to the emergency department for clearance prior to a final destination. So that's again reinforcing our multifaceted approach to helping decompress in the emergency department. So I'm happy to report that we're building relationships with other partner agencies and explore where we can move forward to be most effective to expand into the future of that unit as well. And that's a very bright future there. I would say that I talked to Captain Perryman today. We're working with currently 15 high utilizers that have been identified through our data. Out of those 15 folks, only one has called 911 in the time that we had started to engage those folks. And that one needed to call 911 for a different issue that we were able to work through to get that person to a definitive treatment facility, a skilled nursing facility. So that's although not a big win yet, because it's still too early, I think it shows the potential for the program. So there's a lot of promise there. For statistics, we've had 7,655 calls since our last meeting, about 255 calls a day. 67% were EMS related, and we've had 215 different types of fire incidents, all kinds of different fire incidents. That's not just structure fire. So that's about 7 calls on average per day of different types of fire responses. I'd like to mention one incident we had here on December 1st off of McKay, Battalion 13. Units responded to a house fire just after 7 a.m. that morning. They arrived to a 1-story house that had very heavy fire involvement throughout the whole front and into the garage area. We did transport 1 occupant from that incident, although they were already outside upon our arrival. We transported them for smoke inhalation. But we did have a firefighter that was transported with a burn injury to UC Davis. Again, it goes to reinforce our relationship and the work we've done with the Firefighter Burn Institute. Got phenomenal care there. And I'm happy to report that person was treated and released that same day and is at home recovering now. So good news on that front. And then before turning it back over to you, President Kelly, just a couple of other items. I would like to thank Interim Board Clerk Tahoney. You've done a great job in your position after stepping in for Melissa Pena. Thank you for the time and your efforts in maintaining a lot of things on your plate. You've done a great job. So, and then President Kelly, to you, sir, appreciate the work you put in as president of the board this year through your leadership. It's been a very big challenge, so thank you for that. And I know moving forward, we'll have the next leadership. It's going to be very strong, and hopefully will be a little bit different than the last 2 years as far as our challenges. But and finally, for Chief Cassantini, I know he's not out of here yet, but his last board meeting, so congratulations. I know it was announced. We have a very capable person stepping in, but Greg's done a great job. And on a personal note, having been in this position for just over a year and stepping in, and then Tyler right behind me, I really appreciate your experience and the leadership and mentorship you've given me, and as well with Tyler. And then in the transition with Ty is just been really, it's irreplaceable. So thank you. Appreciate that. And with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief Mitchell, for your report. And I concur with everything you said about Chief Casantini. And now Chief Bailey. All right, moving on to the SAC Metro Fire Department's Firefighters Local 522 report. Mr. McGoldrick, are you still with us?
I am. Good evening, President Kelly and Board of Directors. We also have had a change of leadership as we closed an election cycle in November. Firefighter Trevor Jameson has been nominated and voted in as the new president of the local. Dustin Rodriguez, captain, has been nominated and voted in as the new secretary treasurer. Matt Cole, battalion chief, has been nominated and elected in as the new vice president. And Jeremy Crawford, captain, has been voted in automatically as he ran unopposed as the director of member services. That is all I have tonight, although Battalion Chief Cole is in the audience. He'd like to say a couple words.
Well, Mr. Cole, please come forward.
President Kelly, members of the board, those in the audience, chiefs, Arthur, those at home. I'd like to thank Mike McGoldrick for his service to our local over the last few years. It's been a challenging 2 years to say the least, and I would like to recognize what he did for our members. And I would also like to speak to how excited I am, how humbled and how honored I am for the support of my membership to ask for me to lead us moving into 2022. We're very excited to work closely with each of you as we navigate coming out of some of the challenges that we all just experienced. So there wasn't a day that went by that we didn't do more with less. 522 members in all of our divisions, as well as on the line, have really stepped up and continued to, I think, ensure that we offer a good service internally and externally to the communities. So even today, as we speak, there are over 50 members working an extra shift today. 25 of those were folks that wanted to go home to their families that just couldn't because we have to keep rigs on the road. So we all look forward to working closely as we move, hopefully, out of this COVID fog together to ensure that we continue to, like I said, offer the highest level of service to the community and that we continue to provide a great working environment for our members. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mike, and I look forward to the future.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. I would like to thank Mr. Cole also. He reached out to me over the past couple of weeks. I had some mobility issues with a wheelchair ramp. I've taken care of it since then, but he offered a hand and I didn't need it, but wanted to thank him for being there and offering the help. All right, then moving on to committee and delegate reports. Executive committee, I have nothing to report, although we will need to schedule a special called meeting sometime probably early January in order to take care of the item that we discussed earlier. Moving on to the Communication Center JPA, Chief Mitchell.
Thanks, President Kelly. We have not had a meeting since the last board meeting here at Metro. We have one scheduled for December 14th, where we anticipate discussing the contract for the executive director position and taking a vote on who will be taking that spot over at dispatch.
All right, thank you. And will you please report out on the California Fire and Rescue Training JPA?
Sure. The last meeting was November 18th. We reviewed some audit reports from previous fiscal years, discussed how to finish the remaining fiscal year audits that aren't complete yet. Anticipate that decision and what that looks like moving into the new year to be done prior to the dissolution. And then the continued discussion on the actual dissolution of the JPA. I'm currently performing an inventory of all assets within the JPA to identify how those assets will be divided up amongst the partner agencies or liquidated so that we can still meet the deadline for dissolution effective July 1st of next calendar year in the report.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to item D, the Finance and Audit Committee. Is there a member of that? Please, Director Wood.
Yeah, the Finance and Audit Committee has not met since we last met. Our next meeting is scheduled to be January 27, 2021 at 5:30.
Thank you very much. Policy Committee, Director Gould.
No report, and there are no additional dates planned at this point.
All right. Board member questions and comments. Director White.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to start by acknowledging your service as the chair of the board. I want to thank you for your leadership, and I really appreciate everything you've done to keep us on track this last year. I also want to acknowledge Michelle stepping up into a board clerk role and serving us very well during Melissa's absence. We'd like to congratulate Chief Casantini, because being the last board meeting is a significant milestone. You no longer have to dread Thursday nights. You can watch Thursday night football if you want. And, but no, thank you seriously for the work that you have done to serve the district. And I wish you nothing but continued success in your future endeavors. Happy holidays to everybody. And would also like to recognize Mike McGoldrick for his service as the Labor Vice President. Very much enjoyed working with him in that role and capacity, and the leadership he provided, and to welcome Matt Cole, who will be stepping into, as we know, a very challenging and at most of the time thankless role. But I have every bit of confidence that he will do it and represent the members well. Thank you and happy holidays.
Excellent. Director Jones.
Thank you. Hard to follow, Walt. He did all the check marks. You must have been reading. Thanks very much.
Show all work.
Woo! Show all your work. Yeah. Okay. No, thank you, Mr. President. It's a lot of thank yous and shout outs. And the first group is are the recipients of our Achievement and Recognition Awards. Ruben Romanoff, Lisa Geigel, Ramona Trenco, and Latrice Avery. And that was several hours ago, but I'd like to re-acknowledge their efforts on behalf of the community and the individuals that they helped. A big shout out and thank you to President Kelly. As always,
thank you.
Important running of the meetings, making sure that business is taken care of. Thank you so much for all those efforts. Greatly.
Thank you, Director Jones.
Michelle,
thank you.
Dittos. Oh my gosh, if I ever had a hassle or some little question that was bugging the heck out of me, I could pick up the phone, hey Michelle, and then I'd get the answer. So thank you so much for being so responsive. I do appreciate that. And Chief Casantini, really, the level of professional comportment that you have always displayed to everyone in this room, I want to acknowledge that. I appreciate those efforts very, very much. Thank you for your leadership.
All right. Moving on to Director Sheets.
Good evening. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank Metro Fire for my 5-year pen. It's been an honor serving the community and representing my family. It's just been a humbling experience, and I look forward to the next few years serving as a board member. I'd also like to thank Director Kelly for your leadership this year. Remote is very challenging, and you've done it with grace, and just really honored to be part of this board and work side by side with you. Also wanted to thank you, Michelle. Just like Director Jones says, if there was anything we needed, you keep us on point, so make it easy. So thank you. I'd like to congratulate all the retirees, Chief Casantini, best wishes. Also, I'd like to congratulate all the promotions. Chief Bailey. Thank you, Mr. McGoldrick, for your leadership, and looking forward to working with you, Mr. Cole, and partnership. I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. I really hope everybody has a safe and happy New Year's. I'd also like to thank all of the crews that are going to be working and their families for their service when they're going to be on duty and away from their family. And lastly, I'd like to wish my husband a very happy birthday today, and I hope his crew is spoiling him. And I'd also like to wish you a happy birthday as well.
All right. Thank you, Director Sheets. Director Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's going to be redundant. I think that's the theme tonight, but I want to thank you, not just for what you've been through this year, but your leadership for the last almost 9 years that I've been around here. It's been 9 years ago since you and I sat in the interview room down at the County Board of Supervisors.
Right.
Before I came on board, and ever since then, you've been an excellent role model for me and our fellow directors here. So thank you for all that you do for us. Chief Casantini, congratulations. Best to you. Again, appreciate all of your help, the rapid answers to the questions throughout the years. And best to you there. Congratulations, Chief Bailey. Look forward to working with you. Matt Cole, thank you for the time you gave today. Let me chew on your ear for a little while. It's a pleasure to meet you. Look forward to working with you. And Captain McGoldrick, thank you for all your time over the last couple of years. Appreciate all that you've done. Michelle, thank you. You've got 9 cats, you got a herd, and you've done it with grace. Thank you. I want to especially recognize and say thank you to the crew that was at 50 back on November 12th, Battalion Chief Reed, Captain Manfredi, Engineer Wham, firefighters Dylan, Landieta, Danielski, Hughes, and Chadwell. Appreciate them inviting me in, having dinner and spending time with them and running out on a few calls. It was great to sit there and talk to them, and I appreciate all that they gave. So I'm probably forgetting 1 or 2 other things, but I'll shut up. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Director Wood. Director Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dittos to everything that's been said this evening. I just add that, Matt, our support for you continues beyond the presidency as you continue to serve to the best of your ability. The other thing I'd like to do is make a motion that the board direct our fire chief to command that Chief Casantini return at our first meeting so we could have a appropriate send-off for him. I'd love to see that happen. I think that with his quality of service over the many decades, that we should do something that's special beyond this meeting. So hopefully I can get some support on that so we can have him back despite his objections. And then finally, I just want to continue to encourage all of us to count our many blessings and all of the blessings that we have and look for opportunities to serve those in our community who are less fortunate than us. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director Gould. And Director Clark.
Oh boy, after pretty much everything has been said, but like Director Jones says, I have a lot of thank yous and shout outs. First of all, I'd like to thank Battalion Chief Cole for the little project that we do every year for Star King Elementary. It means so much to the kids at that school and the staff. Local 522 and the CLCs, the Central Labor Council, Sacramento Central Labor Council, has been doing this project for over 40 years. It might be over 50 years, but they had some of the guys from local Station 110, and Matthew, Battalion Chief Cole, suggested that we use a Santa wagon. That was a big hit. I tell you, they went crazy over that little thing, and I want to thank Captain Tom Koslinski from he's usually from Station 109, Engineer Ryan McDermott, Firefighter Catherine Van Horn, Firefighter Dan Taylor. They did such a great job. They were right in there with the kids and handing out the toys, and they were such an inspiration. Everybody loves firefighters, so everybody wanted to take a picture with them. The parents were excited. It was just a wonderful event. But thank you so much, so very much. Director Sheets, I want to congratulate you on your 5th year anniversary. My God, how quickly time flies. It's almost unbelievable that you have been on the board for 5 years. And it's been very good working with you and continue to work with you. Chief Casantini, it's been other directors who said my sentiments already. I want to thank Mike Goldridge for the time that we had together, his attentiveness. I want to thank Miss Dehoney, Dehoney, Michelle, wonderful job. Thank you for all the efforts. And finally, I want to also thank Ty Bailey. I welcome him and looking forward to working with him. We worked with Ty before, and he's always been a wonderful guy to work with. So looking forward to that. And finally, Matt Kelly, Matt, you've been on the board since I first started. You've been an inspiration, brother, and I so appreciate you. You did a wonderful job this year. We were so challenged. I mean, I don't think that what you had to deal with all this COVID it hasn't been done in 100 years. So you know what I'm saying. So appreciate you, brother. Love you, and thank you for your service. Look forward to continue working with you, and I want to wish each and every one of you a happy, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. I hope I didn't miss anyone, but I know this is probably the longest report I've ever done because I'm usually very brief, as you all know.
Thank you, Director Clark.
Okay.
Director Sailors.
Well, Director Clark, I don't know if I can even come close to that, but first I'd like to congratulate Chief Casantini on your retirement.
Thank you.
And Chief Ty Bailey, congratulations on moving up in the world. Matt Cole, congratulations on winning your election and stepping up into the union VP place. Director Kelly, thank you for your service and guiding us all year. You've been inspirational to me. And that means a lot to me to see you continue every board meeting and stepping up there and continuing to serve. I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And to everyone out there working over these holidays, please stay safe and have a good New Year. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Director Sailors. All right, it's my turn. First, I'd like to tell Michelle Dehoney that I appreciate the job that she has done, and certainly she has capabilities that will take her far in this organization. I would like to thank Mr. McGoldrick for the work that he has done on behalf of his union members over the past few years. Mr. Cole, I look forward to working with you, and I'm sure that you will represent the membership very well yourself. I'd like to thank Chief Casantini. I gushed about you a couple meetings ago, but again, to the highest degree, you have represented this district and served it. So I appreciate that very much. And then you all know I have ALS, and I was concerned about it maybe preventing me from being able to serve as chair this year. And I tell you what, I hope no other directors ever end up with ALS, but if they do, I hope they have a group of folks to work with like you, because you've made it easy on me, and it's been very nice. This is the high-performing team commonly known as Metro Fire, and it's a pleasure to be associated with it at even the minorest level that I may be. So I appreciate you guys. I hope everybody has a nice Christmas, a safe New Year, and happy birthday to you, Director Sailors. I don't know what I might be missing, but it's been a good meeting and I've had a good year. Thank you guys for being part of it with me. Appreciate it. All right, so that concludes our business. We will conclude the meeting, and everybody have a nice evening.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Celebrate the solstice.
Yeah, thank you. The sun's gonna come back.